And we are live.
Hello, everybody. Is there a number that tells us who's here?
Yes, it'll tell us how many live viewers we have.
Okay. All right, we are going to go ahead and get started. This is a great time of year to start focusing on a homestead business if you've been considering it, because the rush and intensity of the spring should be over. And especially those that are in the hot states, you are looking for a reason to stay inside in the afternoon because it's so hot. So we will give you that reason to start thinking about a homestead business. So come January, you will be off and running to start the new year. So one of the things that I have had extreme help on is my website. And so I've asked Amelia from Small Town and Rural. I met her, it was like a year ago, I guess. I think a year ago, May, in North Idaho, and found out that she and her family own and operate a marketing network in North Idaho. And she has been hugely helpful to me in getting this whole branding and marketing and website stuff under control. So, Amelia, I have asked you to come here to share with us today.
Thanks for inviting me on here.
You're very welcome. So a lot of people start their business or their homesteading and they have a desire to be more to be self-sufficient. And then typically what happens is they find out that they have a surplus either of eggs or meat, or in the winter months, they're taking their wool and making cute little projects with it or just spinning it into yarn. And if you're like me, after a little while, the surplus starts to build and build and build in a particular room or under the bed or just out in the middle of all the living space. And you realize, I could probably make some money with this. And so then you start thinking, well, where can I sell this stuff? Farmer's market, especially in the summertime, if you realize you did plant too many hey, Isabel, you did plant too many cucumber plants. And now you have way too many cucumbers than any family could consume. And so you start looking for the farmer's market. So this is where we're coming in to help you sell the products that you have. And whether you're starting as a hobby and you're just trying to offload some of that stuff, or you are deciding now that you really like this whole business side of it and want to know how to market yourself most efficiently. Again, this is why I brought Amelia on to do that. So I will tell you, in 2008, I was told that my then husband could no longer support my hobby and that I had to start making money. And if you remember, that was a really hard financial time in the United States. And so I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to do to start earning money to start paying for the homestead? And so little by little, I came up with ideas. And the first one was a homestead tour. So I asked church groups to come in or school groups or whatever. And that was one of the first things that we did. But there were even ways before that. And I'm going to be blogging on those and starting with like the simplest thing I did and going up to the most difficult ones that I did. But all that to say, in 2019, I was able to pay for, first of all my expenses on the homestead. So, and that included new buildings, new faucets that were outside. I mean, I actually hired a plumber and did not do it myself to come out and do that. I bought my car, my little run around town car, with cash. I paid for a family reunion, and that was a couple grand. I had $10,000 in savings, and I also had paid for all the processing. So we had plenty of meat and stuff in the freezers. So all that to say, it is possible to get to that point where you actually are making money on your homestead. So one of the things I asked Amelia to do is to come and just kind of give us an overview of what she's going to be covering. These next several weeks are going to be snippets that will lead us to the webinar where she will actually walk you through in more detail about how to market yourself, mainly through a website. And Amelia is going to explain why that's so important to have. So Amelia, why don't you go ahead and share with us about the 3 main phases of your homestead business success?
So we have 3 main phases on the homestead business success path, and this is based on our 20 years of helping small and rural businesses to be able to be successful, of what we've seen that helps people move their business from being a hobby all the way to being a super successful business. So the first phase is what we call the hobby phase. This is the phase where you're paying to play with your goats or chickens. You likely have to work a full-time job in addition to taking care of your homestead. You might have a Facebook page that you update from time to time, but mostly use it to share like funny videos of your animals for friends and family. The second phase is what we call the side hustle. So in this phase, your homestead is actually covering some of its costs. So in essence, you're being paid to play with your goats and chickens. You likely have a website, a social media presence, spend time marketing your business, and you may still have a full-time or part-time job to cover the rest of your bills. The third phase is the homestead business. In this phase, your homestead business is your primary income. You're paying all your bills and you're even making a profit. Your goats and chickens are now paying for your homestead. This is really the phase that I want all homesteaders to be able to get to.
That is amazing. And so the thing that I loved about her process of going through is that's exactly what I did over a decade. And so Amelia has succinctly put it into packages that are much more understandable, and you don't have to make all the mistakes that I did. So thank you so much for doing that. All right. One of the things that we're talking about are some of the tips that we have for you. And in today's thing, what I want to offer you is I have a Walkabout homestead assessment. And so for me, that's the first place that you start for building a business is if you're going to be producing products, if you're going to be taking pictures of your homestead, if you're going to be inviting the public onto your property, onto your homestead, it needs to look presentable. Now, those of us who live and work on a homestead, we get the poop everywhere. We understand that a rake may have been left out. But let's be honest, people who don't live on one are expecting a pristine, made for TV looking place, a farm. And so that's the first place to start with. And the assessment that is for free. If you go to my website, you can, hey, Barbara, yes, Johnny was one of my favorites from the kids. And oh my gosh, I'll never forget him because he was a real motivator for me in moving forward in all the educational classes. Tell him hi for me. But anyways, that tip of getting your place in order is huge and should be the first place that you start with. The second one is sometimes it's overwhelming. There is so much information out there now. When I started homesteading 30 years ago, there wasn't so much information like there is today. So the biggest thing is come up with a plan and then take 3 giant steps backwards and then really just start there. If you need some help with that, I did write a book. It's a workbook that will actually help you plan out your homestead plan and ask you questions to help you focus so that you are much more efficient in rolling out that plan for your homestead. So Amelia, what else do you have to say about like the hobby side hustle?
Well, I would say the best way to figure out is if you're in that hobby phase is if your animals or your gardening or anything that you're doing, if it's all that upkeep is coming out of the income from your full-time job, then you're in phase 1. You're in the hobby phase. And it's important to remember that doing something because you love it is actually really important. You want to love what you do on your homestead. So that might mean that you have a horse or some pretty silky chickens that you have just because you love them. And these things that bring you joy don't have to cover your costs. You can find a way to do that with other resources you have. That's either selling products from your homestead or your knowledge to be able to cover some of your costs, because then you can spend more time watching your sassy chickens.
Which, as we know, all people like to watch sassy chickens. So what if somebody is in phase 2 where they're covering some of their expenses and their costs, but they are looking at possibly quitting their job or making this full time?
So, in order to be able to expand the hobby into a side hustle where you're covering some of those costs, you need the right tools to be able to do that. Just like you need the right tools for your garden, you need the right tools for your marketing. And the most important tool is that you need a way to reach out to potential customers and tell them about what you have and what you're doing. In the modern day and age, the internet is actually kind of like a virtual farmers market where anyone can have a booth, and that booth is your website. So, in order to get to the place where you're covering some of your costs, you need to get a logo designed so that people can recognize your business. You need to have a website built for you where people can find your information, learn about what you're selling or classes that you are holding. At least one social media account so that you're able to get in front of new people, and a newsletter list so that you have a way to talk to your customers that you actually control.
Mm-hmm. Now, before anybody hits leave this chat, I understand the things that she just said are overwhelming because that's a lot. I've been there, been through it, worked through it. And this is where Amelia and her team have been hugely helpful as far as helping me to break it down. One thing I told Amelia when she came on, so she's a new homesteader. So now it's the sharing of information because I have the 30 years. So sometimes we talk chickens and all this other stuff in our get-togethers. And then she shares with me all the marketing. That she actually is answering a problem that I have seen in the homesteading world, if you will, for years, where homesteaders don't want to be sitting at their computer. They don't want to be doing all this marketing stuff. What they say, I don't even know, the ISO or the SOI or something like that. They have all these, it's a new language when you're talking, computer stuff. I didn't get it. And I didn't know, what I was supposed to be doing. So I kind of just pecked away at it, but I wasn't very good at it. But Amelia comes in and she has all those strengths and she has an understanding and she's passionate about the technical side for homesteaders. So it's like this perfect partnership of working with Amelia because she will be able to translate all the technical stuff that you should have on your homestead while you're out gardening, playing with the chickens, and reading all the books by Joel Salatin. So anyways, this is the thing that's worked out really well by having Amelia. And that's partly why I brought her on, is because she is so fabulous for explaining the things that I really struggled with when it came to the technical side of marketing my homestead or my homestead business. All right. Now we talked about, we have a list. This is how organized this girl is. We have a list here that we're going over. Okay. And you talked about all the different things that they should have. So what are some of the things that we're going to talk about next time when we get on together?
So the next time that we get on together, we're going to be talking about different statistics that you need to know as a business owner and a homesteader for being able to inform your marketing decisions. One of the things that is really important as far as marketing strategies go, that is really preventing homesteaders from having that self-sustaining homestead business, is making social media the focus of their marketing, because you have to spend a ton of time posting on their platform. The posts can be visible for an hour and then they're gone. It's kind of like quicksand. You just can't get that traction, that momentum. So you need a website to be the focus of your content marketing so you can actually spend less time marketing and more time selling products or playing with your chickens or your goats or working in the garden. You
The,
can
the other,
yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
The other thing that I think is so important with having a website, and I do social media. I mean, I've done it since 2009, almost daily since 2009, is that I don't own that content because social media could not like me one day and they will just shut me down. And I think that's the most important thing about your website is that you own the material that's on there. You own the blogs that you post up there. You own the events that you put up there. Nobody else can take that away unless you forget to make your payment on your, on your, what is it? The domain name. But other than that, you own that website. The other thing that's so nice too is it's a place where people can go. So you're not on the phone or you're not spending all that time sitting on your, phone trying to think of new things to come up with. But that website will answer a ton of questions that people don't have to talk to you about. And it gives you more time to do some other things on your homestead. So yeah, I'm super excited about this series that will in the marketing stuff that we're going to be talking about for your homestead. Did you have anything else, Amelia, that you wanted to add for today?
Well, I wanted to leave everyone with a couple of things. One, if you're looking for something that's going to have the biggest impact on expanding your business from phase 2 to phase 3, where you're already making some income on your business, and you want to be able to actually get to having a full-time job as a homesteader, come up with a content marketing plan. And what I mean is that you're going to actually write down what blog posts you're going to write, the social media posts you're going to share, and your newsletter emails, so that you can actually spread out your energy instead of focusing exclusively on one of the marketing tools, because then you're going to get the most impact from the time that you're able to spend on your marketing. So if you want more information about the Homestead Business Success Path, we actually have a checklist that has all of the things that you need to do to be able to move your business forward. You can figure out what stage you're at and what you can do to become more self-sustaining. You can get all of that, plus Cyndi Ball's Homestead Walkabout assessment on her website at cindyball.com/websites. That's SYNDI ball.com/websites.
CYNDI. So yeah, and thank you so much for that. So if you go to my website, Cyndi Ball, and all that stuff will be on there that she said. See, she even talks the marketing talk, the technical stuff. I just tell you to go to my website and find it. It's pretty obvious, right, Amelia?
You have a lot of expertise when it comes to homesteading, and I think that it's really impressive what you have done with your homestead and being able to get that to a place where you are not just covering your costs, but you're also making a profit.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have a lot of great information to be able to share from that perspective of getting your homestead to a place where you can actually be doing it full time. And so everyone really should check out her book. It's really awesome. And check out the blog post she's sharing. She has a lot of great information on her website.
Well, thank you all for attending today. We're super excited. Next week, it will not be on Monday. It will be on Tuesday because we're all celebrating 4th of July on Monday, but it will be at the same time. And again, Amelia will bring us some more tips and tricks for marketing your homestead. So thank you very much, Amelia, for being here today. And all of you that came on here today with us. We so appreciate you. Bye-bye.